We are less than a week away from our first race of the season, and it seems like we're always behind. We're gonna try to do everything at the last minute, just like we've done for all the other years. Some of you guys can get what I mean. So we are gonna address some of the biggest concerns that we had with our white turbo Fox body in 2022 today with some of the stuff that I got sitting over here on the table that you're gonna wanna see. So you're not gonna wanna miss it. It's gonna be an install video. We're gonna get this thing set up and get it ready, because like I said, we got a race in a week. We gotta get this thing right. If you're new to the channel, this is my 1987 Ford Mustang Fox body. It's got a 410 Windsor, aka 408. It's got a on-3 modified turbo kit, 7675 precision turbo, custom cam, AFR heads, trick flow intake. We also rock a Tremec T56, 6-speed in it, face plated from Liberty Gears, 35 spline axle, big fuel system on E85, and we are still rocking the A9L binary editor. Now that you've caught up, done a number of mods last year in 2022. We've addressed some of the weight savings that we could do. And with the coupe on the horizon, everything that we do suspension and brake wise to this car and be able to apply it to the SSP coupe build that's here on the channel. So for a number of years, we've been running on the single adjustable Strange front struts and the Strange rear shock. For the most part, the stuff worked. Those are very good entry level, just getting into racing, street driving, struts and shocks that you could use for your Fox body. And they got us well into the 9s, got us really, really close to the 8s in the way they sat. Had some really good 60 foots. Never had a problem with that with the car, but I felt that I was leaving a little on the table. And especially if we've been doing a little bit of no prep racing, I gotta be able to have more of an adjustability to be able to kind of handle the different surfaces that we race on. So that's what these boxes back here are for. Today, we're gonna go through the boxes. We're gonna see what we got. We're gonna get the white car up on the lift. We're gonna zip these wheels off and we're gonna start installing these products. So stick around, we got a lot of work to do. First off, let's go through the boxes. Okay, so first things first is the strut. I talked to a guy named Mike. He suggested that we run the SN95 struts for the white turbo Fox body here, because we already have the SN95s with the Stranges on the front, and those are Fox body length struts. Getting our ride height right, it's got 7 to 7.5 inches of travel. He would like to see about 5 in the hole. So we're gonna put them on full loose, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. I figured I'd explain it to you guys real quick. This is the strut, top of the strut rod. So what we're actually going to accomplish here is this has got about 7 inches of travel, as you can see here on the tape, is we're gonna try to keep about 5 in the hole when we set our ride height. Best case scenario. So this should be sticking about 2 inches out of the hole in the car with the ride height the way it is. So I get all this travel. See that? Just that 5 inches of travel and the whole car coming up will give me a lot more travel than I already currently have. All right, so we have some coilover. I'm gonna have to put anti-seize on that with some Torrington stuff. This is all my adjusters with the spanner wrench. So that can actually get set to the side over here. Now these struts we're using are the J303 HK valving. Coilover kit is the 7904102, hardware included. All right, so next we're gonna be opening up the, what looks like the rear shocks. B324 AM valving. Looks like we got everything here, pretty easy. Now these are just your standard stock location shocks, just like I had with the Strange ones, except these are double adjustable. So I'll have way more suspension tuning allowed. So this just goes in the same exact spot as my old shock, and this comes up through the mount. So hopefully 20 settings of compression and like 20 settings of rebound. This is obviously the front coilover, the spring kit. These are the 14 DP 150s. This is what Mike suggested I run with the J303 HKs. We'll open these up and check them out. So I like to get everything laid out for you guys, so that way when we get to installing, we know kind of where we're at with it. All right. So one thing I did want to show you guys right before I take these wheels off, you can see the oils coming down the strut. This thing was like, I just cleaned this off not too long ago. You know, that one looks a lot cleaner than the other one. I'm pretty sure this one was leaking. One of these is bad. I know that for a fact. And they're only single adjustable, so we're gonna go ahead and just get them swapped out. That's a pretty easy setup. That's the lock nut, and this is where the spring rides on with the big, large Torrington, and the small Torringtons go right here on the cap. Spring goes in between. We take the two big strut nuts loose. You take the one at the caster camber plate loose, and pretty much bring that strut out. Not a big deal, not a big swap. We were gonna do the rear shocks first, but I always like to tackle the hardest job first. You know, just because, you know, it's a pain in the ass. So trying to film and do work and all this other stuff at the same time, trying to bring some content to you guys, it's not easy, but especially when you're focused and you're on a timeline. All right, so we got most of the strut pretty much lubricated with the anti-seize, like it said in the instructions. You know, you got your lock nut down here in the big Torrington with the adjuster. Just kind of test fitting this stuff. So we're pretty much on the point now to where I'm just gonna take the, all it is really is the two large strut nuts and caster camber up there, and then we can go ahead and pull this strut out and get the other one put in there and start adjusting ride height. It's not all that difficult. The hard part is getting the ride height set correctly for what we want to do with the strut and shock. I'm excited to get something different in the white car for the suspension tuning and such. Get that ride height right and get that transfer set. We make our life a lot easier with racing. Ready to go. All right, go up top and grab that one too. Okay, so we're moving right along here. Check to make sure it wasn't binding up there. Had to put the two spacers from the other strut up top is nice and tight. Not really sure where to start the ride height settings. When we get it down off the lift, obviously I'm gonna have to make adjustments here on the ground. So pretty much not gonna do much film for the other side. As you guys see, it was pretty easy to do. You know, coilover, anything aftermarket stuff like this is sort of not rocket science when it comes to installing it, but there's some things you need to pay attention to, you know, as far as ride height is concerned, and you know, just go with what they recommend you. You know, as far as the spring, you know, Mike recommended a 14-150 for what we're doing here in the front, and I'll set my ride height to that, and hopefully there'll only be about 2 inches or so when we get our ride height straight, so it'll give us more travel. We did take this one off the front of the car, and like I had mentioned, didn't seem like there was much issue there. We're gonna tighten this thing up and we're gonna head over to the other side. So stick around so we can get this ride height set and get this thing on the road and see what happens. All right, guys, I got both of the struts installed now. We're gonna get this spring to kind of tighten up a little bit. This is our lock. Got all this anti-seize on there. We're gonna put the couple of the wheels back on, just with a couple of the lug nuts, and bring it down. And it's probably gonna be really low, as we're gonna have to actually adjust this quite a bit. We'll see where we're at with our ride height. Definitely has to come up quite a bit. The other side's almost buried. All right, we'll get some turns into it. Now the shocks I'm about to run in the rear of the white Turbo Foxbody is basically just a standard shock. So you got your bag of hardware here. It's pretty easy. You know, just like a standard shock. You got this. You got the rubber bushing. It comes through. You know, you mount it to your axle. It comes through the top. You put this down, just like a standard shock. And you lock it down, brother. See that? No big deal. So we plan on running a little bit of weight in the back for some no prep, especially on the asphalt or back half. So having double adjustable shocks to be able to fine tune that setting would be really good. So let me just go ahead and get the shocks in. This doesn't take but a minute. I'm not really going to film any of it. I'll just show you the install. Yep, pretty easy peasy, just like stock location shocks. All right, so we had to take a break there for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and slide the weights underneath of the car. As you guys see in this picture here, it didn't make any sense that my car and its weights were completely different on the corners. It should have been somewhat even. The passenger side was the heaviest, but yet on the scales, it was the lightest. And it had the turbo on the side, and I got the battery on this side and most of the exhaust. So we got some things we got to do. I'm just going to go ahead and scoot these weights underneath here. We're going to bring these struts back down and reset them, and with the proper spacers at the top. And then you know, we'll come back to the video here in a minute. We pretty much got the ride height where we want it. I think it has to come up about another ½ an inch. We're at 27 inches from the floor. Like, again, guys, this is, you know, the struggles part of the journey, and I need to learn this stuff. So that looks a little bit better. Passenger side front, 850. Driver's side front, 835. Driver's side rear, 615. Passenger side rear, 644. But it's pretty close. It's different. As you can see the picture here I showed you earlier in the video, it's definitely sitting more equal. Guys, I know I do a lot of tech stuff here, and I know some of the struggle is part of the journey. Something wasn't right in my car. The weights weren't correct. My struts weren't set right. That I'm fixing this year, and we're going to be tuning the car up to where that really works. So guys, if you enjoy this sort of stuff, leave me a like and subscribe below if you haven't already to the channel. If you want to give something back to the channel and get some exclusive content to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel membership. But outside of that, guys, I just appreciate you watching. We're going to continue getting this car ready for next week's race and for the year. So stick around. Things are about to get exciting here on the channel. We'll see you soon in the next video.